Sean. I'm his wife Julia. For today's insight into, we are going to be discussing loneliness. Loneliness isn't only a problem for those on their own. It's perfectly possible to feel lonely in a large crowd.
All of us at one time or another will feel lonely. Someone's described loneliness as a painful inner emptiness that can last for a short or long period. We were born for relationship, we were born for attachment. Sometimes we can be on our own in solitude or on a retreat, and this is not the same as loneliness, as a positive experience. Sometimes it's actually nice to get away from other people. Obviously not Julia, but other people.
Yeah, but this period of lockdown and isolation, self-isolation, has made us perhaps realise what it's like to be on your own and lonely in that sense for some of us. And loneliness has many impacts. It can affect us, leading to ill health. It can lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, worst case scenario, to suicide. It can affect your memory or cause you to react with antisocial behaviour and maybe abuse drugs or alcohol. It can affect your decision making. The list goes on. Yeah. But mostly it just leaves you feeling sad. If we look at the causes of loneliness, many situations can naturally lead to a lonely period. Maybe one of the most obvious ones is a bereavement or the breakup of a relationship. And similarly, if you change jobs or you finish work through retirement, you've lost all those social contacts at one fell swoop. Starting university can be lonely, as can moving to a new area or a new country even. For some, the time of year can cause loneliness, particularly, for instance, around Christmas.
So, those situations we sometimes can actually help. It happens to us. There's other situations which I would say emotional causes. Sometimes we're actually falling out with people. I was speaking to someone the other week who said they haven't actually spoken to a member in their family for many, many years. This can lead to unforgiveness, bitterness, guilt, shame. Can I encourage you to build a bridge, not build a wall?
Loneliness is mentioned in the Bible, obviously, right from the beginning. We notice in the story of creation, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, we read, "The Lord God said, it's not good for the man to be alone."
That's really good news. I'm so glad about that.
If we look at Psalms, Psalm 25, verse 16, King David said, "Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted." And so we know that the Bible tells us David was a man after God's own heart, and yet he experienced loneliness. So it doesn't mean that you're bad, just if you're feeling lonely. Another Psalm, 68, verse 6, says that God sets the lonely in families. And I think this speaks to us of our responsibility to look out for one another and to care for one another within the church community, and indeed with outside the church as well.
So we want to just leave you with some practical things that we can actually do about loneliness. If you're suffering from chronic loneliness, can I just encourage you to speak to a pastor, speak to me as a counsellor, and speak to your Connect group leader. Reach out and talk to someone. But can I also encourage those who are watching tonight that if you're helping people who are lonely, don't do all the work. The person will end up becoming dependent on you and rely on you, and that will not be healthy. So let's just look at a few things that can actually help us as we move forward. I would say, first of all, learn the practice of self-disclosure. This is when you talk about what's really going on about you rather than just talking about the weather or sort of like the price of houses.
Don't compare yourself with others, particularly, for instance, on Facebook, other social media things. People only put the best bits of their life on Facebook.
You never find anyone saying, I've had a bad hair day, or I've done something really bad. They're always very glamorous. It's always very positive, and they get lots of likes.
Yeah.
Try and make sure that you keep your mind straight. Renew your mind. Don't allow negative thinking to ruin your mind, thinking, why am I lonely? Use it as a positive experience. I think, how do I move forward in this?
Look after yourself. Watch what you're eating. Try to get some exercise and get a decent amount of sleep.
Learn to say no and learn to say yes. Sometimes when you're lonely, you're happy actually to just remain in the house, and that sometimes people feel that you should go out. Learn to say no thanks, that there will be things that you want to be included in, and say yes please.
Don't focus on things you can't change.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Have you actually considered getting a pet? Maybe a dog or cat, a hamster, even a rat or something like that? Have you ever thought about getting a pet? That sometimes helps people who are lonely. If you feel you haven't got the time or the space, why not ask other people who have pets if you can help out? Sometimes people will offer to walk people's dogs.
What a hint.
It is a hint. We are moving to Birmingham soon, and we would love people to come and walk our dog.
Aww. Another way of making new friends is to think what interests you if you've got a hobby and pursue it. So you might like singing, join a choir. If you're into music, join a music group or a sports team. Make some friends like that, maybe through evening classes, art groups, etc.
Lastly, but certainly not least, we have got loads of situations at CLC where you can volunteer and get involved in. So please have a word with us. If you want to serve within church, it will build your self-confidence, self-esteem, and it'll be an invaluable member of a team serving the church and serving God.
So we hope that's given you something to think about, and that you'll stay and join the discussion. There will be resources on our fact sheet. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.